Hello everyone and welcome to the National Sim Racing Association Beer Street Journal Grand National Series here tonight. It is race number 5 when we head to the Poke Your Nose Mountains 150 here at the beautiful Pocono Raceway up in Pennsylvania. I'm Peter Short, and joining me alongside is Garrett Gleason for the call here tonight. And Garrett, 150 miles here tonight, 60 laps for the track known as the Tricky Triangle.
Oh, Peter, I am so excited I was able to get out of work on time, take the short 1 hour-ish drive from my house to Pocono Raceway, and join you for this call. Should be an exciting race, distinct racetrack with 3 different corners, big straightaways. Should be one heck of a show.
Yeah, 3 distinct corners and no turn 4. And oh my goodness, that is someone going upside down, I think. Was that Brady Smith there going for a wild ride out of turn number 3? Because there is no turn number 4. Let's check out turn number 3. There's the entrance to turn number 3. And we do have a good track camera there in turn number 3. There's going to be a lot of fun here tonight. And of course, the exit of that long corner. But 3 unique corners here, G. Turn number 1, modeled after Trenton Speedway. Turn number 2, the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And turn number 3, modeled after the Milwaukee Mile. 3 very unique corners, makes for this place being rather tricky.
Yeah, they don't call it the Tricky Triangle for nothing, Peter. And these drivers are going to need to capitalize on their corner exits tonight, first and foremost, because these straightaways are so long. If you do not have the momentum, you are going to get passed, and you are going to get passed in a hurry. So I think the winner tonight could come from anywhere in the field, Peter, but they need to keep the momentum going all race long, and just don't take any of these corners for granted.
Yeah, do not take any of these corners for granted, that's for sure. Definitely going to be a lot of fun to see what these drivers have in store for us here tonight, as we expect to see 3 pit stops at least here tonight with a fuel window of about 16 to 18 laps. We will see a 60-lap event here tonight unless we get Beer Street Journal last call. And I want to give a big shout out to our friends over at beerstreetjournal.com. If you haven't checked it out yet, folks, they have some really cool stuff. Their top story that is currently at the top of beerstreetjournal.com is Sierra Nevada Celebration IPA returns in cans this month. So if you're an IPA person, I can't say I'm an IPA person, Garrett. I've tried. I just cannot do IPAs. And I know probably some people are throwing cans at me or something for saying that. But I can't do IPAs, but if you are a fan, the Sierra Nevada Celebration IPA is returning this month, and there's some other really cool stuff up there. So if you haven't checked out beerstreetjournal.com here tonight, make sure you do so for all of your beer news. We are moving over now to the qualifying session here, brought to you by our friends over at craigsetupshop.co.uk. We got drivers out there on the racetrack here. Here's John Cannizzaro here, Garrett, to fastest in the practice session that just concluded.
No surprise there, Peter. John Cannizzaro's been fast everywhere we've gone so far this season, the races he's made. And he told me a story before the race that they didn't have time to put the decals on this car. Just got back from the body shop, so he's going with the all-white number 17 tonight. Don't think he needs sponsors to be fast. He's fast regardless, so we'll see what kind of lap he puts down here.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have the Beer Street logos, Beer Street Journal logos, if John Cannizzaro needs to throw some late logos on that thing. But a good-looking number 17, at least a good lap. But we don't often see an all-white car, but it's kind of a unique, maybe a ghostly look for the month of October. You know, Halloween's coming up, but maybe we'll just call John Cannizzaro the ghost out there on the racetrack. There was a gray ghost. Maybe the 17 is the white ghost here tonight. Just checking up and down the scoring pile. We got Drew Eisenman sporting a new look here tonight, and that is a throwback, Garrett, to our days of NASCAR, back when it was as good as it ever got. And of course, that is a throwback to the Silver Bullet, driven by Sterling Marlin. And I know Drew is a Jamie McMurray fan, or was a Jamie McMurray fan before his retirement. Also kind of a Jamie McMurray throwback in that 77 machine, kind of all bundled into one there, but a really good looking scheme as he works his way through turn number 3.
Great looking car as usual for Drew, and he's one of those guys that this series owes a win to. He's been in contention every week, and maybe tonight's the night that he doesn't beat himself or get in somebody else's misfortune. and he pulls it off, who knows, Peter? If I could give him a couple places to party in Pennsylvania, if he does come up with the win tonight.
So the number 77, Drew Eisenman, currently sits third on the board. Fastest driver currently in this qualifying session is that man right there, Jason Gracias. And Garrett, a bit of a shock to see Jason Gracias actually put in a qualifying time.
Yeah, the way it's been going lately, Peter, it definitely is a shock. Gracias has enjoyed starting from the rear and working his way to the front, passing the most cars, and in his mind having the most fun. But must be something Jason wants to prove starting up front tonight as he's headed off on a second lap here.
Yeah, we'll see if he can pick up on lap number 2. We see a lot of these drivers not necessarily tracking improvement. Gracias about 0.2 slower on lap number 2 as that those times scroll across the bottom of your screen. Steven Doziak is going to jump to 14th on the board with his lap time. We still got some drivers out there on the racetrack. Let's check out Josh Sobel while we're at it. There he is, sporting a purple and pink number 56. Of course, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and he does have the pink ribbon on the side of that number 56, always highlighting the breast cancer awareness in the month of October. So got to give a big shout out to Josh Sobel for doing that. And I actually noticed more pink cars out there this week than what we saw last week here on the channel. But if you missed last week at the Lucas Oil Raceway Park, I'll tell you what, Garrett, that race wasn't without controversy as Mitchell Adams lost that race win. And how about Ben Mashburn last week at Lucas Oil Raceway Park?
Peter, this series has not been short of drama like you alluded to, and Mitchell Adams showed up to that race with one purpose, and that was to win that race. He dominated that race. Came down to the final restart, and he did not maintain the proper pacing speed, and the win went to Jason Gracias. And as you mentioned, Ben Mashburn also one who he won on our Friday series, our Friday Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series, and that was an incredible win as well. So this National Sim Racing Association, no matter what day of the week it is, it's always an action-packed race, and I expect no different tonight.
Yeah, Ben Mashburn getting that win right here last Friday night at the Milwaukee Mile, which is ironically what turn number 3 is envisioned after here tonight. We'll see whether or not Ben Mashburn can get out there onto the racetrack and perform at the same level of quality we saw him last Friday night. But like you said, last Thursday night, Jason Gracias got that win in stunning fashion. Did not lead a single lap, but ending up going to victory lane due to that infraction. And I'm sure a lot of these drivers will be briefed on that infraction here tonight. Don't do it. Do not do it. But the checkered flag has fallen, and last week's race winner, Jason Gracias, will be starting tonight's race from the pole. Brought to you by our friends over at craigsetupshop.uk. It's about time for us to bring up, however, tonight's starting lineup here, Garrett. Going to be a very big field here in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. Always great to see. I have to say, I'm really, really looking forward to the way this race is going to work out for everyone here tonight. Gracias on the pole in the Poke Your Nose Mountains 150. Mike Floppy Tellier alongside him, the Canadian driver from Sarnia, Ontario, laying down a very quick lap time. Race Clark, who we saw so quick back at the Nashville Fairgrounds earlier this season, he'll be starting from inside of row number 2 with Nathan Maurer to his outside. Philip Scott, Drew Eisenman will make up row number 3. Stephen Leshensky and Doug Neal on row number 4. Chris Darling, John Freeman, rounding out your top 10 here tonight, Garrett.
Starting in 11th, and like I said earlier, these guys are not out of it by any means. John Cannizzaro and Joshua Sobel, who had a tough break on their last lap last night. Travis White, who's shown a lot of speed this season, rolls off 13th, and alongside him at 14th is Jeffrey Vickery. Brady Smith will take the green 15th position, and alongside him is Shane Ledoux in the number 12 machine. Matt Cherry, always a contender, will roll off 17th, alongside Pennsylvania native and my current best friend, Steven Doziak. Stephen Ford will take the green from 19th position, and Glenn Grimm looking to have a good run, heading out 20th.
And looking a little bit further back in the field now, Corey Shellman, Ben Mashburn on row number 11, Justin White, Josh Corner on row number 12. A big field here tonight at Pocono Raceway as we move back even further in the field. Josh Watt, George Burns, row number 13. Alexander Kerfan in the number 30, rolling off 27th tonight. Brooks Westfall and Jason Shue making up the 29-car field here at the Pocono Raceway in the BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series. Great to have Beer Street Journal on board here so far in the 2021 B National Sim Racing Association Series. Should be really awesome to see where that goes. I've heard some really cool things hopefully coming down the pipeline. I'm hoping to integrate Beer Street Journal into the broadcast even a little bit more. Hopefully we can do so, as I'm sure you guys have seen the grid and you guys know what's going on. But great to see them, and I'm looking forward to continuing that relationship and growing it here on 3Y TV, because I am very passionate about craft beer, Garrett, and they are also very passionate about craft beer, as Ben Mashburn looks like he just went hop into something.
He did a good job. He flipped that cone right over, and then iRacing put it right back. I didn't see a person go out there and adjust that. That was crazy.
Yeah, I want to see if we can go on board with Ben Mashburn, because it looked like he might have already done some jumping or something. Maybe he hit, there's like a divot in the track and getting some air underneath the Exalta number 24 machine. Hopefully that didn't damage that number 24, as these drivers are now out there on the racetrack, just starting to get themselves rolling here tonight. Like I mentioned, 60 laps, 150 miles here around this 2.5-mile racetrack, the Tricky Triangle that it is known. Let's go check out the chat here tonight, see who we have joining us on 3Y TV. We appreciate your support here. We just reached 1,000 subscribers about a week ago. We really appreciate all of you here. Mr. Moondog88 in the chat. How's it going? John Canizaro in there. Josh Sobel, he says he absolutely sucks here. Steven Doziak, Rich Sobel in the chat. William Kerwin, Stan Hausman in there as well. Folks, buckle up. We are about to go green flag here tonight. Should be one heck of a race. Green flag waves here, Garrett, and we are racing.
Well, Peter, we had a bit of a checkup back in the field, saw some cars fan out. Hopefully they didn't advance their position. But as we're going to see, and as many restarts as we get tonight, this is the time to take advantage and gain positions, because this field can get stretched out very quickly, as it looked like we had a car leaving pit road as well.
Yeah, I think that was Glenn Grimm's. Oh, man, one car back there just clipped the wall. One of the green cars. Looks like Mike Tellier has been able to take the race lead in his machine. Glenn Grimm did start from pit road. Tellier is going to take the race lead as they head towards turn number 2. Nathan Maurer now coming up into second. That outside line had a stellar race start, and they've been able to get themselves up to the front. There we go. Now here comes Nathan Maurer with a little bit of a slide in the 971 down there on the inside of the racetrack, hunting for that yellow line, and slides up the racetrack, unable to keep the power down. And now Nathan Maurer smacks the wall coming out of turn number 4. Just kissed it. Looks like the number 27 back there, Stephen Ford, might have also kissed the wall out of turn number 3. I don't know if I said turn 4. If I did, what turn 4? There is no turn 4 here at Pocono Raceway. In fact, they even have that emblazoned on the sidewall in turn number 3. But we got Tellier leading after lap number 1, and Gracias now gets himself back to second.
I'm not surprised to see these veterans, Peter, out in the lead this early on in the race. This is, like, as we alluded to with the 3 distinct corners, guys who have the experience around places like Indy and have raced at Pocono before. It usually suits them. So Mike, Jason, Chris Darling, guys we've raced with for years, definitely have enough laps here to be contenders tonight.
Looking a little bit further back in the pack right now, that's Josh Sobel racing with the number 23 machine of Travis White. Of course, Travis with that Carolina Tar Heels number 23 machine, and Sobel here is going to slide back to 13th. As oh my goodness, one car's around in the back of the field, and that is George Burns, who has gone around. The 07 caution flag is out for the first time here tonight. Let's see if we can figure out what happened here with the 07 machine here. Garrett, we got a good look at it. Looks like he just lost the rear tires from the 07.
I believe George Burns was a comedian back in the Dean Martin days, and there's nothing funny about what happened to him off of turn 3 there, Peter, as he makes a beeline for the inside wall. And this is a place where you don't want that aero damage, you don't want the engine damage. It's not going to be a fun race, so I don't think he's getting that fixed. Well, Peter, I don't have you. I'm assuming I'm still on air, so we're looking at Burns making his way back to the field. Looks like he's being scored 2 laps down at this point.
Yeah, sometimes that mic mutes on you, Garrett. And yeah, thanks for covering in there, buddy. But yeah, they've got that Max Tools Ford Mustang on pit road right now, coming down to get some of that pretty heavy damage fixed. You can see front end's all smashed in, right side's all smashed in. He's gonna, I'm sure, have a fairly lengthy stay here to get all of that damage repaired on the 07 machine, but the first caution flag is out. We are also hearing that something might have happened to the driver of the 08 machine. Here is Glenn Grimm. Now, Garrett, remember, he started from pit road. He actually came back down pit road in his 08 machine, and this was under green flag condition, and I'm not sure if the engine gave out or what, but Glenn just came to a complete halt on the racetrack down there on the inside of the track. You see the field whipping on by him here. Not sure what Glenn was doing. Maybe he was trying to wait for the field to go on by. I don't think that's what brought out the caution. I think it was the 07 going around. Not 100% sure, however. Glenn did get it back rolling, and he is currently out there on the racetrack trying to warm up his tires in the 08 Chevy Camaro. But first caution flag is out here tonight. If you're just now joining us, we expect the pit window, folks, to be 16 to 18 laps. So we do think that we're going to see 3 pit stops here tonight. But interestingly, Garrett, only 2 sets of tires on pit road tonight.
Yeah, only 2 sets of tires. There was some discussion before the race. We were working with the admins. I was jumped in their channel just to see what they were giving these guys, if there's going to be 3 sets of tires due to the 50% fuel load. But they went with 2 sets of tires, so you're going to want to save your stuff in this race. And maybe with these yellows, these guys are going to be able to stretch the fuel a little bit, and maybe they will only have to stop twice. It's something to keep an eye on as we go forward.
Definitely something we will keep our eyes on as we go forward here in tonight's 60-lap event. William Kerwin just saw the Kerwin Racing sticker get banged up there on the driver of the 07 machine. So unfortunately, William in the chat saying, dang it, at the incident that just occurred. Not always good to see your logo smashed up on a race car, Garrett. I know I've seen mine before, and it just doesn't exactly look all too good. Folks in the chat, looks like we got Rich Sobel, who's got his root beer. Interestingly enough, a lot of craft breweries actually also do root beer. You can get their craft root beer, and I gotta say, usually it's pretty darn good when you go to a brewery and they have their own root beer. So, cheers to you, Rich. Thanks for joining us here in the chat. He says, hello, Peter, Garrett, and 3YTV. We really do appreciate it. Question for the announcers. Garrett, what is your favorite beer? And you said you can't drink, you're a Quaker.
I'm not a Quaker. I just said,
Are you an oat?
They used to compare me to the Keebler elf at work because they said I was always stirring the pot. Like, he stirs his little spoon, makes his elf fudges or whatever. But nah, never been the Quaker Oats guy. But of all the beers I've tried in my life, Peter, which is not many, believe it or not, because I'm pretty much a loser. But Yuengling, which is a local beer, has always been my favorite. It's a bit heavier, but I never liked light beer. But with Beer Street Journal and their great reviews and their great website, I'm sure I could expand my beer repertoire in the coming days, weeks, and months.
I was following BeerStreetJournal.com on the run-up to Texas, actually getting Yuengling, and really, really cool that Texas finally has Yuengling as of about maybe 2 months ago, something like that. When Yuengling finally started distributing, we got it on draft. We have it in bottles. We have it in cans. And I haven't tried it in a bottle, but I gotta say it is pretty darn good in a draft. It's just a generic. I wouldn't call it a generic beer, but it's kind of an everyday beer. I could drink it every day. I'm never not in the mood for Yuengling. That's what I've found so far. Maybe I will tire of it over a while, but Jason is saying he's a sour fan. He's definitely going to get some Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest is really cool. He said, check out Antietam Brewery and their Oktoberfest is award-winning. I'll have to see if one of the local stores that we have that stocks a selection of craft beer, whether or not they'll have Antietam Brewery. Because sometimes they go out there and they get beer from across the country and the world. And it's really cool to see that. But I like sours too. I like myself a good gosé. Depending what the gosé is, you have quite a few of them. But I am a fan myself. Base car is heading down pit road. Maybe they can go grab themselves a beer. Saw one car darting down pit road at the back. Not sure who that was, but the green flag waves again here, Garrett. And Jason Gracias got a much better restart than he did at the start of the race.
Yeah, impressive move by Jason Gracias to get in front of the 97 there. And I believe that was the 08 that went down pit road, if I'm judging the paint schemes correctly. But Jason and Mike playing nice up here in the front. Looks like Philip Scott is trying to make a move on the inside, and we're fanned out all over the place as we head off into the tunnel there.
Yeah, Philip Scott racing with Race Clark, the National Air and Space Administration 02 machine on the outside, almost coming down on Drew Eisenman. Those two drivers share the same Discord channel here in the National Sim Racing Association, and Drew giving him a little bit of room. Meanwhile, back behind them, how about this side-by-side action right here? That's the 04 of John Freeman to the inside of Doug Neal. And Eisenman clips the wall in the number 77 machine. We've seen a couple of drivers do that already. Hopefully, it didn't do all too much damage to that great-looking number 77 machine. But Garrett, he lost the momentum coming off of turn number 3. And like you mentioned, if you lose your momentum here at this racetrack, it can take a while for you to get it back. Is Race Clark all over the back bumper of Philip Scott?
Yeah, it definitely will at least take one turn away from you, if not two. And you know, Peter, I've had to kill entire laps here. So, like our broadcast partner and friend Bob Giaquinto always says, Big Mo. You have to worry about Big Mo here at Pocono.
Yeah, and that wall can be dubbed Mo. That is faux show. Mike Tellier, however, I'm also seeing that the Hello Kitty number 97 is, oh man, Race Clark and Tellier really close there through turn number 3. You got to go look at it of the 3-wide TV zoom. But Tellier, Garrett, he must have had some contact with the outside wall, perhaps the same time Drew Eisenman did, because I'm seeing some right front damage on Tellier's car, and hopefully that doesn't affect him all too much. But as you can see, a little bit of a gap forming between Race Clark, Tellier, and the cars in front.
Yeah, it looks like a 3-car breakaway. As obviously, when cars battle side by side, the other guys will take advantage and gap them. But it looks like Race Clark makes the pass there, and we'll see if he could catch up to that front group. As Drew Eisenman and John Cannizzaro are battling side by side with Josh Sobel also in tow.
Yeah, ever since having that contact, as Eisenman almost gets into Josh Sobel, they're getting a little bit dicey between the 56 and the 77 here. But Eisenman, I think he's trying to stop the bleeding. I'm just curious to know if that damage he's done to the car is Mike Tellier, the Canadian driver. He's coming down pit road here, Garrett, and I can only think that that is due to the right front damage he has accrued on the race car. Maybe going to come in and see if he can get it fixed. Remember, Garrett, at this racetrack, if you come down pit road, if a caution flag comes out, you're not necessarily going to lose a whole lap. This racetrack is just so big that you can come down pit road, make your own pit stop, and it won't be the end of the world. You can actually stay on the lead lap. So I'm wondering if that's what Tellier is thinking about in his number 97, as Ben Mashburn now looks to the inside of Drew Eisenman. It is a little bit of a gap up to the next group. Now Cannizzaro looking to the inside. He's starting to make some moves already. Gained 4 spots since the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, John Cannizzaro is not one to sit still, and he'll use up his stuff if he has to try to get the track position. And as you can see, he's pretty much the only car in the line he's in, as we have one duck out behind him further back. But just there needs to be a John Cannizzaro cam. I know I've mentioned this before in our TNR broadcast, but there's never a shortage of action when he's involved.
Yeah, that number 17, like I said, already gained a couple of positions and really starting to march his way through the field. Right now, Jason Gracias, you saw a car all by its lonesome up towards the front of the field. Well, while Cannizzaro finally pulls that pass out on the 56 machine, let's go check out Gracias. There he is. Bit of a gap back to the next car behind. That is Nathan Maurer back there, the Simbox 971. A little bit of a new look on that race car this week. Has Simbox on the back. Race Clark in the 02, now up to third. He's kind of creeping into the picture. He got around Philip Scott, who's there in fourth. So some good battles happening all the way around the racetrack. As now Ben Mashburn looking to the inside of Drew Eisen.
Ben Mashburn also making his way up through the field here. He started back there. And I was just looking at the ticker, Peter, when you were talking. I saw Matt Cherry was running at about 15th. That's unexpected as well. Some of these guys, I think, are still feeling out the racetrack. And like you said, there's even room to make a pit stop and work on your car if you want to get in clean air, get away from other cars and see how your car handles. That's also in consideration. But Peter, a question back to you. When you have a lead like Jason Gracias, which isn't an insurmountable lead by any means, as we discussed pre-race, would you start saving fuel now to try to make it to lap 20?
I don't think so. This racetrack, yeah, it's a big racetrack, but I don't think you can save 2 laps of fuel. I'm not, at least at this stage of the race. I know I've saved 2 laps of fuel here once. Just ask Drew Eisenman about that. But this particular racetrack, you're not going to save 2 laps of fuel per run, because you're going to have to do it this run, the next run, and the run after that. Granted, yes, we've had some cautions under this particular opening 13 laps, but I don't see anyone trying to do the 2-stop strategy, because I've heard people having to pit as early as lap number 16. So, maybe you can make it to 18, maybe you can make it to 19, maybe, just maybe, with some cautions, you can make it to lap number 20. But I don't see you doing that habitually throughout the race. So I think Gracias is out there in the number 1 machine. He knows here tonight that he has 2 sets of tires in the pits. So he can come down on lap number, whenever he comes down and put on a fresh set of tires if he wants to, or if he doesn't want to and he wants to keep the old tires on. That's another strategy we might see here tonight, Garrett, because we know these drivers are going to have to pit 3 times, but they only have 2 fresh sets of tires.
That's a very good point, Peter. The tires and the fuel stops are not going to line up, so definitely as these guys make their pit stops in the next 5 laps, we'll see who takes tires, who does not, and what strategies will be in play later in the race.
So this is the current battle for the second position. Philip Scott just got around Nathan Maurer for that position. Race Clark in the 02 kind of falling off the back a little bit. There's Chris Darling in the number 11 machine. We've seen some good runs here from him before. We've also, I believe, seen him miss his pit stall here once at Pocono Raceway before as well. Hopefully he doesn't do that again here tonight. Then we have this group of cars still racing for position. Cannizzaro in the 17 is out front of this group. Doug Neal there in 8th in the 77. Now Josh Sobel and Drew Eisenman back to side by side between those two. We've seen those two get a little bit close to one another here in the early running, but they keep the fenders mostly clean. Unfortunately, Drew Eisenman's demise, I think, so far has been contacting the turn 3 wall on exit, but not as much damage to that 07 as was done to the Canadian driver Mike Floppy Tellier here. Garrett Tellier's night done after only 9 laps.
Well, Peter, that is shocking because Floppy is one of those guys that I expected to be a contender for the win here tonight. We saw him start out front. This is a track that he's historically run well at, and it's surprising and disappointing to see him behind the wall this early in the race. And Peter, just wanted to go back to Chris Darling you were talking about. He was actually our winner in the Super Speedway Series last night, and I believe he may have only led the last lap, but that was the only one that mattered.
Yeah, the last lap is the only lap that matters, that is for sure. And if you get to go to victory lane, sometimes you don't even have to lead a lap. Just ask Jason Gracias after last week at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. We're watching this battle a little bit further back in the pack between Brady Smith and Corey Shellman. This is the battle for the 18th position right there. There's Joshua Corner just a little bit up the road from those two, and Travis White is in front of him. Some kind of calm battles, and now back to this scrum. Doug Neal, Josh Sobel, Drew Eisenman. Behind Drew is Steven Lashinsky in the number 69 machine, a nice looking number 69 on that Monster Jam Chevy Camaro. And also with Lashinsky back there, we got Alexander Kerfon as Lashinsky kills the wall with the Monster Jam machine I'll tell you what, if he was in Gravedigger, maybe he would have been able to leap over that wall. But he wasn't in Gravedigger there, Garrett, and that's quite a bit of damage to the Monster Jam 69.
Yeah, definitely, definitely some damage in the 69. Not surprising. We've seen the 69, the guy that runs the 69 truck on Friday nights always have damage early on in the race, so maybe it's just an unlucky number for this league, Peter. Maybe there needs to be no more 69ing in NSRA.
Yeah, none of that. Now, on my end, Rich, Garrett is turned up okay. Let me know if he's still quiet. I can continue to turn him up. But on my end, the levels are seemingly okay. But I can crank that up as need be. Let me know if it's still sounding a little bit quiet. Right now, we got drivers coming down pit road. There goes Ben Mashburn coming down pit road in his machine. Philip Scott's on pit road. Jason Gracias. So right on lap number 18, Garrett. This is still maybe a little bit later, a lap or two later than I was told the window would open on. But, of course, we did have a couple of caution laps to help with the fuel mileage under this particular run. But a lot of drivers on pit road. Back out there on the racetrack, here's Race Clark. He's yet to pit. John Freeman in front of him is yet to pit, as has Nathan Maurer, who has inherited the race lead as of right now. But drivers heading off pit road, there they go. Not going to lose a lap here at Pocono, this racetrack being so big.
That's the good thing about this track, Peter, is it doesn't hurt you to be the earliest one to pit. Like, if you need fuel, you stop for fuel, you get out ahead of the leader, caution comes out, you don't have the misfortune of being a lap or more down. Someplace like Bristol, you have to end up stopping for fuel because you have this crazy green run. You'll end up 2 laps down and the caution could kill you. Well, let's see how much time these guys gain by being the first ones on pit road compared to these guys who come in a lap later, and even if there's another group after these guys.
So Nathan Maurer will give up the race lead and come to his pit crew. Just looking to see if anyone stayed out. Yes, we did have a couple still continue to stay out there on the racetrack, including this man right here. That's John Freeman in the 04. He's out front of Race Clark in the National Air and Space Administration 02. There he is, flying around the racetrack. Not quite at Mach speed. I mean, kind of a factor on Mach. Probably in the range of Mach 0.3 or so here at the Pocono Raceway. Somewhere in that realm as he comes down on to pit road right on lap number 20. So he was able to get to the 1/3 race distance here tonight, Garrett, but we know that some caution laps did help that fuel mileage. So we'll just see how that continues to play out as the race continues on.
Yeah, definitely going to see if that gives him any advantage. Like you're alluding to, it probably will not. But hey, you never know, Peter. Stranger things have happened here in the National Sim Racing Association. So Race Clark usually ends up sideways or on his roof or his side or anything. So I wouldn't put it past him to just find 2 laps somewhere. Is Steven Doziak still on the track, Peter?
Garrett Doze is leading the race. How about that?
Peter, I wish I could throw something onto the track right now and get this race called, because this would mean a lot for the home track boy, Steven Doziak, running that beautiful Total Nonstop Racing paint scheme. And I got to give it to Doze. He knows, Doze has gotten better since we started racing with him, as you will confirm. And he always plays a different strategy, though, and just tries to get one up on the competition. And you have to appreciate that as a fellow racer. Hey, I might not be on speed, but I'm going to give it everything I have to play it a little different and hope the luck falls in my favor. And
I am quoting the 3Y TV chat here tonight. Quote unquote, current best friend Doziak. The 55 continuing to tick away here in this one. He did pit on lap number 4. Some drivers didn't, but Doziak did decide to come down pit road, Garrett. I think he was one of only a handful that elected to do so. Shane Ledoux behind him also elected to come down pit road. Stephen Ford in the 27 came down pit road. See a little bit of right side damage to the 27. The 12 in front of him, a new look on Shane Ledoux, maybe trying to find some Irish luck in that number 12 machine. Got a little bit of green on the hood. He pitted on lap number 4, but Jason Shue was the only driver who elected to come back down pit road on lap number 5 to top off under the caution flag. So presumably the 3F shoe has the most fuel in the tank of his car. How far can he stretch it? We will have to wait and find out. Could that be a good move on the number 3? But back behind him, look who's running him down. That's Jason Gracias, who was your race leader before this round of pit stops started. And Gracias is doing a stellar job of holding about a 1.9 second gap back to the number 99 National Ninja machine of Philip Scott. There he is. As we're hearing, the 08 of Glenn Grimm has elected to come down pit road here under green flag conditions.
We're still going on pit stops, Peter, because of the people took advantage of taking a pit stop under those caution laps, which we didn't really see happen. So maybe they could make it in 2 stops now. We'll see. I don't think it's going to play out exactly in their favor. As you said, Jason Gracias is closing in. He's closing in fast. But we'll see how Nathan Maurer and Philip Scott do with drafting together and trying to catch that number 1 car of Jason Gracias, who has had a pretty decent lead all night long.
Interestingly enough, Garrett, the driver we ride on board with right now, Nathan Maurer, he actually pitted 1 lap after the number 99 in front of him. So possibly 1 lap fresher tires on that car. Actually, no, I take that back. Both of these drivers elected to not take tires under their green flag pit stops. So right now, Nathan Maurer in that 971 machine is out there on, well, do the math, 23 lap old tires, which is a bit of a surprise here, Garrett. I don't know, the race kind of got a green flag feel to it. The field is kind of stretching out a little bit. We haven't seen any accidents in a while. Of course, that could be the kiss of death. We could see a caution flag fly here very soon. That's usually what happens here with Commentator's Curse on 3 Wide TV. But Alexander Kerfon and Race Clark here racing for the 9th position.
Alexander Kerfon made that pass look easy, Peter, and he had a little bit of contact with the wall earlier, if I'm not mistaken, and Race Clark was showing a tremendous amount of speed before pit stops. So I don't take that pass lightly that Kerfon just made there as he heads off back into turn 1.
We're just looking up and down the scoring pylon to see if any of these drivers fall foul of a pit road speeding penalty. Not seeing anything jump out at me for a speeding penalty for everyone, so I think they're all good in the speeding department. We do have mixed strategies, however, out there on the racetrack. Let's see if we can bring up those mixed strategies so all of you folk at home can see what those different strategies were. And mainly, Garrett, those different strategies were 4 tires or 2 tires. Here we go. You can see the graphic down there in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That's not the right one. I want pit stop time. There we go. That's pit stop time. And this driver right here, Chris Darling, he had a 15-second pit stop, Garrett. That tells me Chris Darling took tires on that number 11 machine, and he just got around the number 99 of Philip Scott, who had an 8.2-second pit stop. So Darling had a 7-second slower pit stop, but he just passed Philip Scott. This could be a very good move, in my opinion, for Chris Darling, because we know he's going to come down under this next pit stop. He's going to take on a set of tires, as will everyone else. But I think everyone else is saving an extra set of tires for late in the race, and I don't know if that's going to be a good call for other people, because you're going to have so few laps left at the end of the race to use those fresher tires. Now, I could be completely wrong. We'll see how it all shakes out. That is, of course, if it stays caution-free. We've only had 1 caution here in the opening 25 laps in the National Sim Racing Association Beer Street Journal Grand National Series, the Poke Your Nose 150. I hope some people have gone and just kind of poke on your nose. But Rich Sobel in the chat asking, did Josh take tires? Let's see if I can answer that question, because he's down there. He's on that screen right there towards the bottom. He had an 8-second pit stop. No, he did not take tires. So Sobel still out there in the 9th position, but still on the tires that he started this race on here tonight. Chris Darling is closing in on your race leader, however, of Jason Gracias with the fresher tires, and that number 11 is whipping it up around the racetrack. Phillips Golf Academy on the hood. Let's go check out some other battles. Here we go. John Cannizzaro, Duck Neal. Garrett, this is currently a battle for 7th.
Well, for 7th, track position, this could be important. If the yellow does come out, you don't want to have that many cars to pass, so Doug Neal making a good pass there, take advantage of the opportunity. and it looks like he's going to take a little bit of a gap in turn 1. There will be no crossover move from John Cannizzaro, who will now look to hold off Josh Sobel.
So Neil, Cannizzaro, Sobel, Matt Cherry starting to creep into the picture there, Garrett, kind of in the back. He also elected to take tires on the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Ford Mustang. And whoa, how about our friend Stay Tuned Sports in the chat here tonight saying, how is everyone? How's it going, Stay Tuned Sports? We appreciate you coming here into the 3 Wide TV chat, as you always do. We appreciate your support as we watch Matt Cherry get around driver of the number 56, Josh Sobel. So Sobel now sliding back to the 10th position in his machine, and definitely going to be interesting to see just how far Matt Cherry can make it up the field here tonight, because Matt Cherry has been a standout here over the last couple of weeks in the National Sim Racing Association, and here tonight has definitely seemed to have struggled with his pace just a little bit.
Yeah, he's definitely not as far forward in the field as we've expected, Peter, but he's making the passes one by one, and there's definitely enough race here for him to get into his usual contention as we're watching the battle for the lead. Chris Darling on those fresh tires will make short work of Jason Gracias, I'm pretty sure, here as they go into turn 1. And yes, he does.
Yeah, so that was on the replay just about a lap ago. We go back live. We'll go back up to the front. Chris Darling has pulled away from Jason Gracias. So that number 11 is out there kind of all by his lonesome now up at the front of the field. First time we've had a new leader in tonight's race. Jason Gracias had led every lap up to that point. If you're just now joining us, like our friend Stay Tuned Sports in the chat. Let's see if we can go pick up some of these other battles going on right now. Josh Sobel just got passed by Jeffrey Vickery. Vickery is on fresher tires, however, so that gives a big advantage to the 21 machine. Let's go pick up this battle here between Doug Neal and that is the 04 of John Freeman. Move Doug Neal. Oh, guys, almost spoke too fast there, Garrett, as Doug Neal almost clobbered the turn 2 wall.
It's very easy to clobber the wall here. I've done it in my racing career, Peter. I mean, you're pretty much perfect out there at the racetrack, but you've probably done it as well. And speaking of, we were talking earlier about guys who've been contenders all season long. I'm surprised that he threw Eisenman as far back in the pack as he is. I guess he didn't have an opportunity to take care of that damage on that first pit stop.
Yeah, I think a big question is going to be how much is that damage affecting the number 77 of Drew Eisenman. He right now is running down in 14th position. Doesn't exactly look like he took tires in his pit stop, but I do know that he missed his pit box on his pit stall. Missed his pit box. Yeah, in his pit stop. There we go. That's what I wanted to say. Sorry, guys. It's been a long day. I did training for 5 hours, or actually 8 hours. I presented something today. So, literally, my entire day has been talking. My voice is, for sure, tired. Stephen Doziak says, Peter, I take offense to that. Stephen, what are you taking offense to? And why are you messaging us while you're still out there driving? My goodness, Doziak. Race leaders have been Gracias. Oh, okay. So, that's right. Doziak led a lap. Mr. Moondog in the chat letting us know that we forgot about Doze. I forgot about Doze, Garrett. It's okay. Doze will forgive me. I know he will. Beer Street Journal checking in the chat. Beer Street Journal, we're just talking about the Sierra Nevada Celebration IPA a little while ago, letting people know I'm not an IPA person. And I'm sure we're going to harp on that a couple times this season, that I'm not an IPA. I tried so many different IPAs. I tried hazy IPAs, which I prefer a hazy IPA to a non-IPA, or just a regular IPA. The only ones that... time to cut off, Peter. Yeah, right. The only IPAs I've liked have been triple IPAs. I have also... there's a couple of Clown Shoes IPAs that I really like. I don't know if you've ever had Clown Shoes, but I love Clown Shoes. Clown Shoes are awesome. And I've never had a Clown Shoes beer that I did not enjoy. So, I gotta say, they're awesome. And Beer Street Journal in the chat saying Muffin Topper, yeah, good stuff. But we do have a race to call out there on the racetrack. When the racing gets boring, sorry, Peter. No, man. We got sponsors in the chat. If you can't deal with sponsors in the chat, I don't know what's up. Brantley Road is saying, I like clown noses. No, clown shoes, bro. If you see clown shoes anywhere, make sure, and you're a beer person, make sure you check out Clown Shoes, because I'll tell you what, you will not be upset. You will not be upset. As you see, however, maybe Nathan Maurer being a little bit upset because he just got passed here by John Freeman. We do have some drivers on pit road, however. Chris Darling coming down, Jeffrey Vickery coming down. So, Garrett, we're kind of in that window now of the second green flag pit stops, and we got these drivers coming down.
Peter, I hope our fans in the chat and our Great League sponsors appreciate what you did just there. You covered so much time with your tangent about IPAs, beer, and clown shoes that we got to the green flag pit stop. So that is why you're the best in the business. The action was going on, and you were just covering perfectly. And I wanted to make mention of this gentleman right here on track, Alexander Kerfon, who has been like a rocket ship coming through the field. So he was making some passes as we were going through that, so just wanted to give him a shout out as well.
And now our other front runners are on pit road. Gracias, Philip Scott coming down, John Canizaro, Josh Sobel in your picture coming down pit road at pit lane speed, which will bring up there on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen so you can see it 55 miles an hour here tonight at the Pocono Raceway. So we'll let Philip Scott get to his pit crew, and all of a sudden Alexander Kerfon becomes a new race leader here tonight to add to that tally. The threat level midnight number 30 getting a little bit high in turn number 2, keeps it off the wall, keeping that good looking number 30 ride nice and square. How long do we think it will be for Kerfon to come down pit road here tonight, G?
I think he should be in within the next couple of laps here, Peter. But some of those guys like Dozia, and look at that, he's coming in right now, Peter. I probably should have said that lap. I would have looked good and intelligent on air. But I'm just curious to see if the Steven Doziak, Jason Shu, amongst other strategy, is going to play out this time, if they can get to that 20 lap threshold. I don't think so, like you said earlier, but something to keep an eye on.
Definitely something to keep our eyes on. Now, this is actually the battle for the race lead, believe it or not, between John Freeman and Doug Neal. Looks like Freeman going to whip around the outside and take the race lead away from Doug Neal. We expect these drivers to come down pit road here, relatively shortly, as Brady Smith now gets underneath the 54 of Matt Cherry. Brady is currently being scored one lap down during this pit sequence. But Matt Cherry currently being scored in third. Steven Lefshinsky in the number 69 Monster Jam Chevrolet. Garrett clipped the wall really hard and just doesn't seem to have the same pace in that Chevrolet that we saw in the early going.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys out there, Peter, that actually want a yellow flag so they can work on some of the damage. Right now, you're just doing your best out there. A lot of times when you make such hard contact with the wall, you get tight out there and you just can't keep the speed on the straightaways that you need to keep here at Pocono to be competitive. So I think a lot of guys would not be upset if the yellow flag came out.
We just got word in the chat. I didn't even notice it on the live timing scoring, but Garrett Christopher Darling came down pit road as the race leader, no less, and his internet gave out when he was on pit road. So we saw him coming down pit road. His internet gave out. He's out of the race. He's in the chat now. And so if you're in the chat, make sure you put an F in the chat for Chris Darling, who is not out there on the racetrack here tonight. Here we got a battle for position. This is between Drew Eisenman and Joshua Sobel, two drivers who fairly recently pitted. Eisenman pitted on lap number 31, Sobel on lap number 33. So Eisenman was able to get around Sobel by means of an undercut. Now Sobel has run down the Eisen Designs number 77, the Silver Bullet. And Eisenman here trying to hold on to that spot. That is currently for the 13th position, but we are, of course, in the middle of pit sequences here out there on the racetrack. Matt Cherry just came down pit road as well. He has now fallen back to 12th position. Oh, no! The 54 machine of Matt Cherry, caution flag waves. We just had to give him the kiss of death. Holy cow. Caution flag for the second time here tonight, G.
Peter, you're doing your oh no, oh no, oh no. I was kind of thinking like Toby from Family Guy. Oh no! Because that is not what the 54 of Matt Cherry or his sponsor, Stay Tuned Sports, wanted to happen, especially with the Eagles game going the way it's going tonight. And it just seems like the rear end snaps, and he tried to save it and then found the wall, and then I believe he found Glenn Grimm as well.
Yeah, so Matt Cherry, he will be glad that he already has a win to his name this season, locks himself into the postseason that we have here in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. But let's go on board with Matt Cherry. Just gets loose, back end kicks around, and he just gets into the wall. As I think, was that Glenn Grimm who also, yes, Glenn Grimm in the 08 machine made contact with the 54 machine. Let's see if we can quickly get an onboard with Glenn Grimm, who spun down into pit road in all this mess. Here we go, on board with the 08 machine. Watch Matt Cherry just get loose, back end kicks around, he overcorrects it, and Glenn Grimm has a unorthodox pit road entry and somehow keeps it off that inside wall.
Peter, whether all us racers, whether you're religious or not, you almost start praying that that car either saves it or locks it down to the inside. And it is such a helpless feeling, like you've done something wrong in your life when that car comes back across your nose and pretty much ruins your race. It's a horrible feeling. Glenn was not doing anything wrong, just running some laps out there, and could not have been in a worse spot at a worse time.
Yeah, that is definitely for sure. And now, with this caution flag coming out with 23 laps to go, it's kind of an awkward situation. A lot of drivers had just pitted. Some drivers had not yet made a pit stop. Now we got Steven Doziak coming down pit lane here late in the race. We got John Freeman coming down pit road. And I know we're obviously 22 laps to go right now, Garrett. We're not within the window where we can make it to the end of the race. All of these drivers will have to pit one more time here tonight. However, let's kind of flip this around just a little bit. Drivers like Jason Gracias, they're probably going to have to take about a half tank of fuel, which is going to take about 6-7 seconds on pit road, something like that. Meanwhile, those drivers who are just coming down pit road, they're not even going to have to take a quarter of a tank of fuel. Well, maybe a quarter of a tank of fuel. So they can refuel a lot faster. That'd be a benefit later in the race. They'll also have fresher tires when we go back green here in just a moment. So it could be some benefits to some of those drivers. We'll have to keep an eye on how that all fares. Would this be a lucky caution, an unlucky caution? Because remember, Garrett, here tonight, this track's so big you don't actually lose a lap, so you might lose some track position having to actually pit under caution, unlike a lot of the other tracks. And it's going to be an interesting race to see how this all shakes out. Just checking out to the chat. Yeah, all that oh no is how I feel about the Eagles game right now. Oof. Just gonna check and see what the score is right now. Last I saw, the Bucks only were up 14-7. Oh, it's still 14-7 here, G, unless my my app
right.
hasn't decided to update. Although based off of this, the Bucks have a 78.8% chance of winning. So we'll see what's going on. There's a booth review going on, and Beer Street Journal confirming that. Beer Street Journal, I think we're gonna have to get Beer Street Journal up in the booth at some point, maybe for the for these calls. If someone throws a challenge flag, how would we even do challenge flags here in the National Sim Racing Association? I guess we all do it after post race. But Rich Sobel in the chat, never tell me the odds. I mean, yeah, odds don't always do the trick, do they? So Stay Tuned Sports in the chat. William Kerwin in here says, I think my driver George was drinking tonight. That's why he hit the wall on lap 2 or 3. I don't know, guys. I haven't had anything to drink. The only thing I have had to drink here today is water. I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. I have not had any alcoholic beverage yet. That isn't to say once this race is over, I won't partake in the beverages that are of the alcoholic variety, but we have 20 or so laps when the green flag falls because, I'll tell you what, Garrett, pace car lights are off.
Peter, we're getting ready to go back green, and I was just thinking here, as I do sometimes when I'm capable, of how there's probably a very split field out there right now, Peter. There's probably half of the field or so that wants this race to go green. They're going to come, they're going to take their splash of fuel when they're in their window and go from there. There's also guys that are hoping for that yellow flag with maybe a handful of laps to go, come in, put their fresh tires on, and make a triumphant move through the field. It's a very weird time to have a caution as far as race strategy goes because of the way this race has played out so far. So as we go back green, we'll see who's trying to make up time on this restart and who's playing it safe.
And a couple of drivers well back in the pack, not actually formed up yet. We'll see whether or not the NSRA officials will bring the pace car. Yes, they will. That answered that question right there. Gracias gets us back to the green flag. You see some of those cars at the top of your screen hustling to get caught back up. They might just get caught back up. Gracias, with a good restart, clears the remainder of the field. He will be our sole leader as they head towards turn number 1. Doug Neal, Alexander Kerfon side-by-side back behind him. There they are. And then some more side-by-side action back behind them. Some good side-by-side action as we are back green for only the third time here tonight. Not a lot of cautions here tonight at Pocono. Hopefully we can stay clean and green the remainder of the race. But as the lap count winds down, Garrett, the intensity heats up. And we got some good side-by-side action as Canizaro now looks to the inside of Doug Neal.
Yeah, there's some good battles out there, Peter. And at this point, you don't want to lift coming out of any of these turns. So these guys are going to give it everything they have. Hope it sticks. Hope the momentum carries them towards the front. And if you hit the wall, then so be it. You're going for the win. But Jason Gracias looks like he's breaking the draft on the front stretch here. And a side-by-side battle for second place between Philip Scott. And it looks like he clears the 30 of Alexander Kerfon.
Yeah, now Canizaro going to go to the inside of Kerfon here with Nate Maurer of the 971 trying to follow on through. Josh Sobel in that picture as well. I think this will be the first time here tonight under green flag conditions that we have seen Josh Sobel up inside the top 5, not during a pit sequence, as a 56, keeping all 4 corners on that race car. And I will say, Garrett, one thing I've noticed out of Josh Sobel is, with the exception of a couple of drivers getting into him so far this season, he's done a really good job of limiting the personal contact with the wall, but he's made some fairly big mistakes on pit road. Hopefully he can rectify that as the season goes on. Very similar, very reminiscent of Christopher Darling here in the National Sim Racing Association in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series from a couple of seasons ago. But Sobel here tonight so far having a strong run, as we're now looking at Kerfon and Travis White in the 23, who's quietly crept his way solidly inside the top 10.
Travis White has shown a lot of speed, and he's looking to capitalize here at the end of this Pocono race as well. Keep these good runs going, minus the accident he was caught up in either last week or the week before. It's all blended together at this point, Peter. And just to go back to Joshua Sobel, I've been getting to know him a bit better over these last few weeks in the National Sim Racing Association, and he is a very smart and very talented racer. Sometimes it takes him a majority of the race to figure the place out, but when it comes go time, he makes his way to the front, and tonight seems to be no different.
Yeah, you can say that again inside the top 5 here with under 20 laps to go. Doug Neal and the number 21 machine going side by side. That is Jeffrey Vickery to the inside of the Simbox number 77 machine. Looks like Neal is going to be continuing to slide back here, Garrett. We saw Doug Neal start their restart on row number 2 under this last restart, as we got one car big wiggle in the number 2 machine a little bit further back. That's Justin White, who got all types of yawed out coming out of turn number 1. He is multiple laps down in the number 2 machine, down in 26 positions. I'm not sure what happened to Justin White and why he started this race a couple of laps down, but he's been that way for quite some time. But he almost lost his lunch there in the number 2, but he is good. Now, here's an interesting thing, Garrett. 17 laps to go. Pit window is starting to open up. We got some takers here. Alexander Kerfon coming down. Doug Neal and Ben Mashburn coming to their pit stop. We expect this to be their final pit stop here tonight.
Peter, that's a very timely turn of events there with these guys hitting pit road, because I wanted to ask you what your strategy would be had you been in Jason Gracias' position leading this race. Would you want to be in pit road as soon as your window opened, or would you want to run as many green laps as possible and come in for a splash at the end if you expanded your lead? So obviously these guys have chose the strategy of as soon as I get into my window, but would you play it differently?
No, I think that is the right call. The only exception to that would be if you still have a set of tires still left. I would come down pit road right now, because you come down pit road, here comes Drew Eisenman. He's coming down pit road. Travis White going to follow the 77 on pit road, because the 23 might have locked him up there. We'll see whether or not Travis White gets a speeding penalty, but you're not going to lose a lap coming down pit road here. If you have used up all your tire sets, they had 2 tonight for the chat's reference, then come down now. You're not going to gain anything by not pitting or pitting later. If a caution flag comes out, you're going to lose all that track position when you had to come down pit road under caution, because everyone else didn't lose a lap. Drew Eisenman, he's just got a splash of fuel right there. Going to see if everyone else is kind of in the same boat. But Jason Gracias is your race leader in the number 1 machine. Now he's in a vulnerable position here, Garrett. If the caution flag comes out right now, Gracias would presumably lose the lead to those drivers who have already pitted under this green flag, because they're still in the lead lap. So if I'm Jason Gracias, unless I have a set of tires still left that he might. In fact, we'll bring up the graphic here and all together do a little bit of looping and snooping. Sleuthing. That's the word I'm looking for. It's been a long day, folks. Pit stop time. Bring up the graphic. Gracias has... appears Gracias still has an extra set of tires on pit road, Garrett. So he might take this maybe another 2 or 3 more laps, I would think, and then make his final pit stop with about 10 laps to go. So he's made 1 pit stop. Basically, the stops that you see on your screen above 14 seconds are more than likely 4 tire pit stops. And here comes Gracias. Okay, he's coming down 14 laps to go. He's going to come down, put on his final set of tires, and he will be good to go to the rest of the race. And coming down behind him, Philip Scott, Josh Sobel, Race Clark, and looks like Brady Smith also joining him. That will give the race lead, at least temporarily, to John Cannizzaro Jr. in the number 17.
Well, these strategies, Peter, it's hard to keep up. Good thing we have those fancy graphics, because this is hard to follow with these pit stops. But John Cannizzaro clearly on a different strategy. I know he usually hangs out with our Total Nonstop Racing guys in our team channel here. So he's playing a different strategy than Gracias and Philip Scott and all these other guys that pitted. So we'll see if Cannizzaro comes to pit road this time by, or if he's running it out.
So Cannizzaro in the number 17 Ford Mustang. We'll see whether or not he elects to dive down pit road. Gracias did indeed take 4 tire pit stop. He is now heading back onto the circuit. Here comes Cannizzaro, so that will give the race lead to the car who was right behind him, the 971 of Nate Maurer. So the 971 stands alone at the front of the field. Steven Doziak is in second there with the number 69. Behind him, currently 1 lap down, it's John Freeman in the 04 running in third, then Jeffrey Vickery in fourth, and Shane Ledoux in the 12 is running in fifth, right in front of Jason Shue on the racetrack, but not on the scoring pylon. Jason Shue is a lap down as they run as well. First driver who has made their final pit stop here tonight is Drew Eisenman, but he is on older tires here, Garrett, so that's going to be a pretty big disadvantage for the number 77 machine, the Silver Bullet. He's going to have to pull out all the bullets here in that number 77 if he's going to want to win this race.
You think he can pull a Sterling Marlin? Well, except he'd have to do it while the car's running and maybe tug that fender out and get that damage fixed to gain some speed. We'll have to keep an eye on it. I know Drew's talented. I don't know if he's that talented. But for those in the chat, those watching at home, let's keep an eye on the gap here between Drew Eisenman and Jason Gracias on those 4 tires and see what happens lap after lap.
Yeah, I think Drew would need a red flag to have any opportunity of that, stop him on the back stretch right there, and maybe have a number 22 Ward Burton machine around. I don't know, but the Eisen Designs machine of Eisenman just got past Nathan Maurer, who pitted. So we're down to just 4 drivers yet to make their final pit stop here tonight: Doziak, Vickery, Freeman, and Ledoux. And that's when, after those couple, you'll see Eisenman there, Jason Gracias, Race Clark, and Philip Scott. But Race Clark, I don't know if he took any tires on the O2 machine. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Maybe he only took 2, not exactly sure. But we will find out in about 10 laps from now who will be the victor here at the Poke Your Nose 150 here at the Pocono Raceway. Just checking on the chat. We got Brian Mina in the chat here tonight. Brian, thanks for checking us out. Let's go, Josh. Keep killing it. It's been a pretty good night for Joshua Sobel. Right now in the 10th position, but 5 drivers in front of him is, the 971 of Nate Maurer. Did he get a speeding penalty here, Garrett? He's back on pit road. I can only imagine that was a speeding while exiting the pits penalty, and that will be extremely costly for the 971.
Tough break for the 971. He put himself in a good position there in the last pit stop. It was the money stop, as they say, and he must not have been on the money with his pit road speed as he pulls into his stall to serve a penalty. But Peter, just wanted to throw this out there that the number 1 of Jason Gracias, the 99 of Philip Scott, pitted about 3 laps later than some of those other guys. If we get our Beer Street Journal last call tonight, some of those guys could be in trouble as far as fuel mileage goes.
Yeah, they could. You're right. You sometimes have to factor in those Beer Street Journal last calls because they can creep up and you can run out of fuel if they do creep up. So hopefully we don't see one. Hopefully we can say green flag to the end, but you never know what might happen here at Pocono Raceway. Steven Doziak Jr. is your race leader. He has not made his final pit stop. He last pitted on lap number 38. 22 laps to go, essentially, for Doziak, and 22 is well out of the window to make it on just a single stop from there, as Shane Ledoux in the 12 has a slide coming out of turn 3. Brooks Westfall in the number 6 just made a pass, and we got this little group of cars right here. Westfall in the 6, who we haven't really talked about. Ben Mashburn in the 24, who made a run into the top 10 earlier tonight. Doug Neal, who was up inside the top 4 for a while, and Brady Smith in the John Deere number 10. These drivers all running out there together on the racetrack, and they're getting around Matt Cherry, who's also for position. But of course, Cherry Garrett having all that damage from bringing out the second caution tonight, in Mashburn and Westfall both kissing the wall out of turn 3.
Well, Ben Mashburn needed every inch of racetrack there and did a tremendous job to not hit the wall and keep his momentum. And as we look at this battle, Peter, these guys are definitely having the most fun out there. The closest group on the track, it seems. And hey, you might not be having the best finish, but you're running some fun laps around some very talented race car drivers, so there's nothing to complain about as we look at the pass for the presumed lead by Jason Gracias as he overtakes the 77 of Drew Eisenman.
The Gracias on the fresher tires, Eisenman on the older tires, and we'll just again bring up the pit stop times so you folks at home can see them. And Eisenman, he elected to take his tires, I believe, in his second and third pit stops tonight. So he's made a couple of pit stops. He's made more pit stops than a lot of these other cars around him, but he should be out of sets of tires, so I don't think he has any sitting on pit road. Gracias, on the other hand, he just put on his final set a little while ago. So the fresher tires here very much prevailing as the number 1 of Gracias starts to disappear off into the sunset in front of the Eisen Designs number 77 here at Pocono. But it's been a pretty tame race here. Let's go check out this battle for position between Philip Scott, Race Clark, and John Cannizzaro. Cannizzaro, a couple of laps ago, Garrett, ran the fastest single lap of the race, a 54.56. That number 17 is doing all he can to catch up to this battle for second because they're closing in rather rapidly on Drew Eisenman.
Well, Peter, as we saw last week, second place might become first place. You never know. So get every position you can out there. A lot of good racers here. Drew Eisman trying his best. Philip Scott's taking a look on the inside here, and John Canizaro and Race Clark in tow. But I just want to shout out to our leader again, Steven Doziak. For any ladies in the chat, he is single, and as you can see, he likes to live on the wild side, saving a set of tires with 6 laps to go and running in the lead. So I have his phone number. If anyone wants it, hit me up in the chat.
Yeah, Garrett, I don't think Doze can be out there for maybe just 2 more laps. As we see Race Clark and John Canizaro get very, very close on entry to turn number 2 there. I think Canizaro had to back out of it. But laps are definitely winding down for Doziak until he absolutely has to make his final pit stop of the night. There he is. Jeffrey Vickery is in second. John Freeman in third. Those drivers still yet to pit. And here's the bad news. If you're John Freeman, look who's out there. Garrett, look who's the next car behind him. That's Jason Gracias. That's poor position right there, and you have to make your final pit stop. So things not exactly looking all too good right now for John Freeman as he's being caught extremely rapidly. But let's check on this battle. John Canizaro to the outside of Race Clark and Drew Eisenman in this mix as well. They're tight through the tunnel turn.
Philip Scott's hoping they keep battling like this so he can get a bit of a gap between these very talented race car drivers here, as they were 3 wide and now they settle back into 2 wide. It looks like Race Clark is going to, well, not so fast. John Canizaro powers on the inside, and we'll see who has the run down the straightaway here.
Who has the run down the straightaway? Meanwhile, just to check in, the number 55 has finally come down pit road, so Doziak will give up the lead. 4 laps to go now. Eisenman still trying to hold on to what would be the 3rd position, presumably once everyone makes their final pit stops, but Canizaro going to power on through. Now it's going to be between Eisenman and Clark. Clark has to back out. Garrett, it looked like maybe the O2 hit some bumps or something there in the middle of turn number 1. You saw the O2 get unnerved. He backed out of it to give a little bit of breathing room to Drew Eisenman in that number 77, who's still trying, in my opinion, pulling above his weight right now with his tire strategy call. Remember, we've seen him as far back as 12th, 13th, something like that here tonight. But he's recovered fairly well after having that early contact with the outside wall right here coming out of turn number 3.
Yeah, Drew's doing a tremendous job, and it's just been an incredible battle between those 3 cars, and they still don't seem to have it sorted out. But John Canizaro looks to have been the one to be able to pull away, as we look at Jason Gracias taking the lead off of John Freeman, who, hey, he's in that hoping for a caution group, I guess. So if he has a set of tires, maybe he can put it on and get a better finish than what he's had. But hey, Peter, wait, we're assuming he needs to stop again, correct? Or has he stopped?
He last pitted on lap number 39, so he'd have to go 21 laps. It just seems a little bit too much, in my opinion, for Freeman to make it all the way. But Freeman, I expect him on pit road either this lap or the next lap. I do not see him making it the final 3. But of course, we will be coming to 2 laps to go. This time, does he stay out? Yes, he stays out. So maybe Freeman does think he can make it to the end of the race. That would be huge. 21 laps. We've seen other drivers get 16. We saw 17. We saw 18. We see some drivers make it all the way to 20, but they needed caution flag laps to make it all the way to 20 laps. So Freeman, you can tell he's trying to save fuel because he's losing a ton of ground to the number 99 to Philip Scott in front of him. Now losing time to John Canizaro. Canizaro going to try and scoot around. This would be for 3rd if Canizaro can complete the pass. Meanwhile, back behind them, Race Clark leading Josh Sobel. Sobel now back up into the 6th position, and Drew Eisenman has fallen back to 7th in the number 77 machine. But Garrett, time's running out. We're down to the white flag this time by.
Yeah, Jason Gracias is looking to come out of turn 3 and see that white flag in the air with no incidents or cautions behind him. His lead should be pretty safe from Philip Scott, who's having a tremendous run in 2nd place. And we'll see who sneaks into the top 5 here at the end, and if Freeman can hold on to his track position.
John Freeman says, you know what, I'm going to go for it. So he's trying to make it 21 laps here, which would be an absolute shock to me. He's still running in the 4th position. Maybe, just maybe, he can nurse it home. And 4th position, what a strong run that would be for the driver who of course, started here tonight just inside the top 10 in the 10th position. He's got McLovin on the hood, now going into turn number 2. But up the road, Jason Gracias in the number 1. Garrett trying to go back-to-back here in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series.
Jason Gracias is having a tremendous season, no matter what series he runs over here in the National Sim Racing Association. He's been a contender as he heads off to turn 3, and will take the checkered flag as our wonderful flagman lets us know that this race has concluded with Jason Gracias our winner. Oh, and the 0-4 almost made it, Peter. What an incredible job he did at saving fuel, as he's going to lose a lot of positions and coast across the line here.
Yeah, he's going to go from 4th. He's still losing positions. He's now down to 13th, and he will cross the line in the 13th position as Ben Mashburn squeaks on by. But from 4th to 13th in just about a single lap, that is such a shame. Just running up a little bit too short. I know we got Josh Sobel. I know we got a couple of Josh Sobel fans in the chat. Sobel going to come home with a top 5 here tonight from 12th on the grid up to a final finish of 5th. So, race number 5 of the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series is in the books here, and Gracias going to take home another checkered flag. Can you believe it here tonight, Garrett? Of course, Gracias got that win last week at Lucas Oil. He goes back-to-back and now equals Matt Cherry with 2 wins each on the season.
And it looks like we have a bit of a team celebration here from the TNR boys. I guess everybody's taking in this win by Jason Gracias as if it was their own. And this is good to see after last night, Peter, because the entire team decided to wreck themselves and cost the win to about 5 different guys. So good job tonight, gentlemen. You all deserve it. You had a good run. Congrats, team. But look forward to these interviews and hear how this race played out from these drivers' perspectives.
Well, you know what they say. You race together, you wreck together. Isn't that something, Garrett? Isn't that right?
Well, Peter, as the team owner, so to speak, I'd rather them not wreck at all. But I guess you're right in a way.
I guess so. Something to that nature, I guess. Let's see if we can get some of these drivers lined up for you folks here into the waiting room. I'm sure some of them will be very excited to talk to us here on 3Wide TV, and you'll get to hear what they have to say here in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series post-race show. Chris Darling in the chat saying, great job, Jason. William Kerwin saying 17th to 3rd for him last night because of it. See, there you go. Kerwin's a big fan of you boys all wrecking one another.
I'll remember that. For next time. Hey, it happens. That's racing, right? We all enjoy it. It's a great time. It's always a great show in this league. So we'll see what these guys have to say.
Yeah, we will get those post-race interviews lined up for you folks here in just a smidgen. And let's see. There we go. I think we got everyone that we need to get. Garrett, I think you've caught up with driver of the number 17 machine here tonight. He didn't have enough time to even put the decals on his Ford Mustang, but that'd be John Cannizzaro, G.
Hey, John Cannizzaro, it's your buddy Garrett. I just want to let you know you're in violation of the restraining order I filed against you before the race, but let's just have an interview here. 3rd place run for you tonight. How did the number 17 handle out there, and do you think you could have played the strategy any better?
Strategy, my worst enemy. Not a good tire person. I can't save tires. I know we had the double stint the first set, and I do believe when I came down the first time, they were at about 80. That was not very good, so. The race was good. We got 1, 2, 3 for TNR. I'm sure Gleason's smiling, but he won't tell us. Or Shane might have to fix the Gleason, by the way.
Dozy X his best friend, John, so he's not smiling. Because if it was Doze, he would be smiling, but Doze is his best friend. You heard it here first.
Other than that, I think I had the best burnout of the 3 of us.
It was definitely nice to see a team celebration there. You had a good run. I think you ended up turning your fastest lap of the race there towards the end. Do you think we can get a sponsor on your car for next week? Peter said he has some Beer Street Journal logos for you. I know you may be underage. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but would you be willing to put the league sponsor on your car for next week?
I can't make paint schemes, but I'll see what I can do for it.
So next week we're headed to the road course at Sonoma. I just wanted to get your thoughts going into there. Have you raced there before? Those of us who have raced NASCAR a lot in the past have definitely taken to the track, but I know you're kind of new to this. So what are your thoughts headed to a road race?
Oh, I don't even know the track. Oh god, I don't get to see.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you don't know what you're doing still. Nothing's new. Before we let you go, do you have any shout-outs?
I want to just apologize to Chair. I know he was a little upset that I got into him in the tunnel turn, so I'll talk to him after this. My father, my parents, you for letting me hang around TNR, Sim Shots, all those guys, and Peter for having to sit here and deal with Garrett all broadcast.
Well, thanks, John. Good luck next week. And you're really we joke around, but you're really doing a good job, and you're gonna get there. And I can't wait to interview you when you win your first race. I hope it's here on 3Y TV.
It'll be somewhere. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's not easy sticking around with Garrett Gleason alongside me here in the 3YTV booth, but I think it's all of you in the 3YTV chat. I think tonight is the most active chat I've seen here in a long time, and I just have to say, I really appreciate it. I've been reading all your comments. It's just absolutely awesome to see an active chat. Josh Sobel being active in the chat right now. And Rich Sobel saying, see you all tomorrow night, guys. Good night. But hey, Rich, stick around. We got 2 interviews left. Let's see if we can dial up tonight's runner-up, driver of the number 99 machine, Philip Scott, who, Philip, I mean, you started up there near the front. You showed a lot of pace, just not quite enough space or pace for Jason. There was a period of time where I was starting to think maybe you were starting to figure out the racetrack and you could close in on him, but it just wasn't quite meant to be here tonight. Talk us through your night with the number 99 machine.
Yeah, so first off, this is honestly, I can't be upset with this race. After everything all the struggles I've had with ovals, bad luck, everything for a long time, and then my subsequent foray into road racing, and I kind of just rid off, TNR and NSRA. I just didn't really want to do them because I'm just like, oh, I can't save tires. I'm so bad. I'm all this and all that. I have bad luck. I just didn't have the motivation. Then the wild card race at Rockingham really set everything off for me. When I was like, because Rockingham's definitely a driver's track. You got to really know how to handle your car, and those are the types of tracks I really love. And I managed to get the win there, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I started to find myself getting better and better at long run pace, and and I'm pretty sure it's because of my foray into GT racing, where you gotta have the tires last for an hour and sometimes 2 hours, and it's translated over to oval racing really well, and I'm just really, really happy with. Yeah, I made some mistakes here and there, like I know last Friday I definitely had the speed to win at Milwaukee, and I just I did a dive bomb on Darling, kind of beat myself. That's what people tell me, that just don't beat yourself, and I just kept that in mind today. There were some times it was kind of Pocono is such a fun track. One, because it's like a road course, and two, because just the strategy options, how long the track almost takes a minute to get around, and so it just opens up all these strategy options, and I'm glad, like, me and Jason and John, and we all came up with a strategy and ended up going really good for us. And so yeah, there were some times when I was catching up to him, especially the last little stint where I just pushed my tires like pretty hard before we had to come in again with like 10 to go, and I was closing in on him, and then I was just as good into the pits, everything, but the O2, fair play to him, he was on a different strategy. I think he either topped off or only took 2 tires or something, and must have had freshies or fresher tires than not, and so he came out right in front of me. I tried to just drag race him out of the pits, and obviously the exit's kind of narrow, so you can't really do that. And then I tried to get him on the inside on that lap, and then kind of just lost my momentum. And then I'm just like, all right, what did I'm not going to beat myself this time. And I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to set it up. And eventually I did end up getting around him. And unfortunately that might have cost me the race, but honestly, me and Jason were so close on pace that there's a chance he could have, I'm sure he could have like helped defend it against me. No problem. Yeah. So he ran a really good race. It was absolutely no complaints. I'm really happy with how far I've come on ovals, considering I haven't been doing iRacing competitively that long. So yeah, it's really cool. Congrats, Jason, and nice work to John for a P3.
Yeah, definitely a good race here tonight for you. But hey, next week we go to the road course Sonoma. I know you're looking forward to that one.
Oh yeah, old school Sonoma, the old, the old but not old layout. I think it's the old one with the short chute, or whatever, the one without the carousel. Whatever formation, whatever layout, I just love Sonoma. I've won there in other leagues, and in all the I just really like Sonoma, all the different layouts, even the IndyCar one where it's like really tight and annoying. So yeah, I'm really excited. I've really started to get used to road racing on stock cars, like Road America TNR a few weeks ago. I felt really good at. Just made a little slip up, outbreaking myself because I was scared of the 30. But yeah, I'm very excited for Sonoma. That's one of my favorite tracks, and can't wait to. Hopefully, I can get a win there. But yeah, we'll see.
All right, well, folks, that is our second place finisher here tonight, Philip Scott, and it is now time to go to victory lane with driver of the number one machine, finishing in the number one position, Jason Gracias. Garrett.
Hey, Jason, thanks for sticking with us there. If Philip ever wins a race, we're going to have to buy some extra TV time, so just bear with us. Congratulations on another win. At this point, I just have to question, are you getting sick of winning? It just seems to be becoming easy for you at this point. Just take us through how your night went out there in the number one machine.
Well, first and foremost, shout out to everybody from TNR today. We all came out. We had a good run. We had a 1, 2, 3, 5 finish. Mike, unfortunately, had to leave early, but we all had good speed in the car. Philip did an excellent job. He's bound to get a win this season, so good for him. I'm looking forward to his interview. Hopefully, you guys do buy the extra TV time for him. But overall, a really good, fast MaxGrafix designed number one Camaro today. I think I alluded to last week, Pocono is one of those tracks that, for whatever reason, I do well here. I like these weird, quirky tracks, and it just suited my driving style. This race was interesting. The pit window was 18 laps, 60-lap race, and we had 2 extra sets of tires. So if you did the math, you had to go one stint without getting tires. So when I saw that, I figured, saving tires is what I'm good at. So I knew if I had set track position, and thankfully I got pole, I could somehow try to get a win, or at least a top 3. So it worked out for me. It worked in my favor this week.
You did a tremendous job, and you're always one to play that strategy pretty much to perfection. And it's nice to see you get a somewhat easier win. You didn't have to battle for it. You didn't have that late race yellow to throw a wrench into your plans. As I said earlier, you've proven to be contender everywhere we've gone so far this season. Heading to the road course at Sonoma, it has to be a wild card. It's definitely a place I know you have laps at. What is your strategy going into next week, assuming you'll be there at the race?
So I will be here next week, and then I'm away for a couple of weeks. But believe it or not, I've never turned a single lap on at Sonoma on this sim. I don't even own the track, so it's going to be going through a drawing board for me. honestly, I don't know what to tell you. I know in NR 2003 or the console video games, I like Sonoma, so I should know the braking points. But driving with a controller is way different than driving with wheels. So I think my strategy is just keep all 4 tires on the track and hope to finish somewhere good on the track. So we'll find out.
Yeah, the good thing for us is that we have the TNR consigliere, Peter Short, to teach us. He's the guy that definitely knows how to get around that place. So maybe we'll have to pick his brain during the week so we can get that number 1 car into victory lane again. But before we let you go, obviously, Peter and I would both like to congratulate you on yet another win. But give your shout outs and go have a party, buddy. You've earned it.
So yeah, it's nice to get a win. Finally, a win that isn't as strict, I guess. I think I had a clean race through and through. But yeah, thanks for the kind words. Next week, I think Philip Scott should be probably the contender for the win. Him or somebody like Drew Eisenman, who I think does road course racing in the GT. So should be interesting. But all in all, shout out to Beer Street Journal for sponsoring this league and putting it together. Shout out to Justin White for being the lead admin and racing at the same time. I know it's a tough job, so he's making it work, doing a great job out there. Thanks to MaxGrafix for this sick paint scheme. If you guys need iRacing paint or design or a logo or whatever, check them out at maxgraphics.co or find him on Facebook. Chris does excellent work. I hate that he fell out because his internet. It would have been a good race between me and Chris, kind of going, I guess, kind of like a revenge race for us from last Friday. But all in all, good race. Had a lot of fun. Thanks through ITV for broadcasting you and Peter for putting it together. I do apologize for not sending you my beer drink this week. I have to admit, I had a hangover today from last night, so beer was the last thing on my mind today.
Oh, well said, Jason. Congratulations again. Well, the best way to cure a hangover, from what I've told, is to start drinking again. So go celebrate. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good. I won't be here tomorrow, but I'll see you guys on Monday for sure.
All right, well, that's going to do it with, I guess, tonight's race winner won't be winning tomorrow night here on 3 Wide TV in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series by the sounds of things. But Garrett, 2 wins to his name, a very strong start to the season for the driver of the number 1 machine. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's final race results for everyone back at home. It definitely was an interesting race, that is for sure. The Poke Your Nose Mountains 150. Jason Gracias with the race win. Philip Scott coming home second. John Cannizzaro third. Race Clark coming home in fourth. A good finish for the driver from Tennessee. Joshua Sobel coming home inside the top 5. Good run for him. Drew Eisenman coming home in the 6th position there after, I would say that's a pretty good comeback there at the end of the race for the driver who made early contact with the wall. Travis White coming home in 7th. A strong night for Travis. Been quiet, but at the end of the night comes home in 7th. Alexander Kerfon in 8th. Brooks Westfall and Brady Smith round out your top 10, G.
Just outside the top 10, we have Doug Neal in the 77 machine. Steven Doziak coming home in 12th. Played the strategy. I was hoping for that late race yellow. It just didn't happen. John Freeman almost stretched that last fuel tank 21 laps and ends up coming home in 13th position. Jeffrey Vickery in 14th. Ben Mashburn, 15th position. And Ben Mashburn and Matt Cherry, not where we expect those guys to finish on that weekly basis. Joshua Kerner coming home in 17th. Corey Shellman in 18th. Nate Maurer, who ran up front for majority race with that pit road penalty, comes home in 19th, and Shane Ledoux rounds out your top 20.
And taking through the rest of the field here tonight, Joshua Watt coming home 21st. Stephen Leshinsky finishing 22nd. Stephen Ford 23rd, 1 lap down. Jason Shu also a lap down, 24th. Glenn Grimm 4 laps down in 25th. Justin White 7 laps down, 26th. Christopher Darling had connection issues, finishing 27th. Mike Tellier left a racetrack on lap number 9, finishing 28th, and George Burns finishing in last position here tonight. But definitely a very interesting race here tonight at Pocono. Going to be a fun one here tomorrow night, G, in the National Sim Racing Association, because tomorrow night we got the trucks in action here in this Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, and we're going to the Texas Motor Speedway. 1.5 mile track just north of Fort Worth. Should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that one. And of course, next week, right here, Thursday night, Beer Street Journal Grand National Series, we got Sonoma road course action. I believe the only road course this season. We got some good races coming up for us here on 3Y TV.
It's always something great going on 3Y TV, and it just seems ridiculous, Peter, that this is the race at Pocono. I finally get to be near my home track, and it seems like every other week we're at a home track of yours, whether we're at Coda, Texas, we're back at Texas. But in all seriousness, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night in the trucks. Texas is one of those places where I think I finally have it figured out, so we'll see if I could give that number 7 a good run, and I'm sure Drew Eisenman will put on a good show with you up here in the booth.
Yeah, looking forward to having Drew alongside tomorrow night. Big shout out to our series sponsors, Beer Street Journal, of course, beerstreetjournal.com, the series sponsor. Stay Tuned Sports podcast. Their link to their Podbean is in the description if you want to check them out. There might be some mumbles and some grumbles about some Philadelphia Eagles after tonight's game against the Buccaneers. MaxGrafix and MaxGrafix.co. Make sure you check them out. Brookstone Animal Hospital and BrookstoneVet.com. Taz Racing Customs as well. Make sure you check out Taz Racing Customs for all your custom die cast needs, because they're very cool. But Garrett, going to be a lot of fun over the next couple of weeks, but I think we're going to leave it there here tonight and wish everyone back at home a wonderful night, good week, and make sure to stay safe, and we will see ya.